what are you hiding? We need to look in your 8th house, because the 8th house in astrology is our deepest, darkest secrets that we hold inside of ourselves. It is literally the skeletons in our closet, and I think it is not deeply and honestly discussed enough. If you have been following my community tab, you know that I've been having some 8th house issues. I did recently lose my mother. As a Cancer moon, that's been very difficult on me. 8th house is associated with death. So in the name of my mother's Sagittarius spirit, I want to find the silver lining of this, and I want to use this energy I'm feeling to do some good. And I think it will do good for 8th housers to listen to this video and feel less alone, feel more understood. So we're going to dive into this topic. For everyone who has stuck by my side during this difficult time, thank you so much. Remember, the best free way to support my channel is to simply like my videos. I will love you forever to the moon and back. Thank you in advance. So let us dive into the 8th house. It is a very scary house. In astrology, the 8th house is considered a succedent house, meaning it follows an angular house. And angular houses are the ones associated with our angles: rising sign, midheaven, IC, DC, all of that. And astrologers really do have tunnel vision. They focus on these houses, these angular houses, and they say these are the most important. But all my 8th housers secretly know that 8th house energy is very potent and powerful and cannot be overlooked. Just because it's technically a succedent house does not mean it's weak. It mainly just denotes that it is fixed, much like the associated sign Scorpio, and it's less changeable. But it doesn't mean it's not powerful. It's a huge powerhouse to have in your chart. If you have personal planets in the 8th house, I know you feel them very heavily. And yeah, so I do want to make a quick distinction here that the 8th house is not the same as the sign of Scorpio. Now, yes, a lot of houses do line up pretty much exactly to the sign. Like, there's not much difference between the 6th house and Virgo energy. But there is some subtle differences. There are some subtle differences between Scorpio and the 8th house. Now, does it mean that there's no relatable information between both? No, they're highly alike. But there is a lot of distinction with the 8th house. The 8th house, I would say, is more powerful in certain areas. Don't be mad at me, my Scorpios. I still love you. You're still powerful. But the 8th house carries a unique burden, I want to be honest about. 8th housers, if we look at the opposite house, which is the 2nd house, the 2nd house is associated with Venus. Venus is very well received. It's beautiful. And it's also a succedent house, so it's fixed. It has to do with everything natural, the 2nd house. Everything out in the open, received, like a beautiful garden. It's just there. The 8th house, on the other hand, is the opposite. It doesn't feel natural. So a lot of 8th housers, and I do think this is unique to the 8th house, feel pretty early on that something is not natural about them. Something is dirty, something is unclean about their core essence, and especially for 8th housers with personal planets or a chart ruler. So 8th housers can just feel like such outcast from early on, and this can just be like they're born with a sexuality that isn't accepted by their community or social circle culture. They can be born with things that they like that aren't considered good and natural. They can really have like a daredevil type of personality, whereas the 2nd house is extremely safe and stable. The 8th house is very much so in line with self-destructing and almost self-destructing to find the ultimate secrets of the universe, to understand death, and almost to control death. Eighth housers, I think, even more than Scorpios, have this huge desire to control whatever theme is in their eighth house, because they know it will not be received well by society. It will be looked at as deviant. They will be shunned for it. They will be shamed for it. So they aim to master that part of them in their private life. They will read psychology articles. They will join underground communities with like-minded people with the same eighth house secret as them. They will go to such extreme lengths to understand themselves. And this is what's unique about the eighth house, is that it is watery, but it is highly conscious, unlike the 12th house. So 12th house is completely space cadet unconscious. 12th housers are in and out of awareness, whereas 8th housers might not have understood their complexity right away, but the older they get, they become highly aware of this thing inside of them that does not feel natural. And I think that's what's really unique about the 8th house in terms of our watery houses, is just how highly aware it is. And this is what puts so much pressure on the 8th house person to have a mask, even more so than like a Libra. You know, Libras wear masks every day because they want to be well received. Well, 8th houses are like that, but on steroids. And I hate to use this example, but think of Jeffrey Dahmer. His chart ruler was in the 8th house. And even though it was very apparent that he wasn't like everyone else, he still held those deviant and dark things about himself very close inside, was very controlled in how he expressed himself to the universe. Of course, like, does this mean all 8th housers are Jeffrey Dahmer? No, he's a very extreme example. An example I'd like to mention also is Megan Fox. She is an 8th house moon. So she could just be very comfortable with nurturing people's darkness, which, like, having the most love and empathy for someone with a dark side, which Machine Gun Kelly does kind of line up with that. So yeah, I think 8th housers are just fascinating, and they are fascinated with the topic of death, because the 8th house is associated with that. And I think this is what is behind their habit of self-destruction, is this fascination with death. It's the ultimate mystery, and 8th housers love forbidden anything. If you think of the second house as everything, again, accepted, the 8th house is so dark, it's so forbidden. It's the house of our demons. So if you're not supposed to know something, if there's a book on a ban list, if there's some type of dark arts, forbidden knowledge, an 8th houser is going to want to know it. This is where they are like Scorpios. They are little detectives, and they want to know just everything that they're not supposed to know. And again, the ultimate mystery is death. Where do we go afterwards? How does it feel? And I think that they fear and respect death so much to the point where they'll self-destruct in order to control their own death, which is why, you know, no offense, you'll have a lot of 8th housers who smoke or do a lot of physical things that put their bodies in a bad position, that will push them closer to death, be in situations that aren't good for them psychologically, be daredevils, you know, risk their physical body to feel that rush of touching death. So 8th housers, please take care of yourselves. You can figure that stuff out in other ways. Read about near-death experiences. That is so much safer. But this is a quality that 8th housers possess. And where I think 8th housers really shine is whenever they take all those secrets that they're so afraid of the world to know, that they think make them unnatural and wrong. They truly process them and bring them to light. They are so powerful in that moment because they're able to connect with other people who have or feel as if they're wrong in society or that they're deviant. And they can build a really big sense of community. in doing this. And I think that's where eighth housers stand the most powerful, is when they let their secrets out. But they cannot do this unless they feel like they've mastered this part of them, and of course they'll always hold back a little bit, but you know what I'm saying. So if you want to know more about your eighth house, I'm going to give you a little bit of information here, but I'm only going to go through the personal planets. So if you have your sun in the eighth house, I think you're the one who really has the most likelihood of bringing their dark secrets to light and really standing strong in that conviction, shining a light on taboo topics, and showing that they're not as scary as we think they are. And in doing that, you become a source of strength. The sun is our biggest light source for so many other people. The eighth house moon could be someone who really self-soothes through bad habits, bad emotional habits, and bad physical habits. So it's really important that eighth house moons learn to understand that love is not always pain. And they can really have a heart for dark and deviant people that can kind of give them a rush, and they just want to give all their love to the people who are the most misunderstood, even more than like a 12th house moon. Let's go to Mercury. So Mercury in the 8th house, that can be someone who has really disturbing thoughts that they feel if someone knew what they were thinking, that they would just never talk to them again. Or they can just have really an odd way of socializing, which makes them feel like wrong, unnatural. There's an unnatural way of talking to other people. But what's amazing about an 8th house Mercury is that they are the best listeners. They will listen to any topic, no matter how taboo it is, to really connect to someone. Of course, they don't trust just anyone. Just like Scorpios, 8th housers have trust issues, but they're just not afraid to go to those dark corners of someone else's mind. And although this may cost them in society, they like to talk about weird, forbidden stuff, they can really benefit other people who need someone to listen to them. Again, just like the sun, this could be like a natural born detective psychologist. 8th house Venus, ooh man. I think 8th house Venus and 8th house moon, they just struggle so much in love because they have that attraction to things that are bad for them. And that's what gives them that high. So again, you could just attract people with a lot of demons, a lot of darkness. So be very careful, my 8th house Venuses, that you do not self-destruct all the time in love, because it's just not worth it. Life is so short. I would say try to love things that are wholesome and make you feel good, and I do think most 8th house Venuses come to that, but hey, you could still like complex people, be attracted to complex people, but complex, healthy people. Then we're gonna end off on 8th house Mars. So 8th house Mars probably has a lot of things a lot of hidden motives, because Mars is our drive. So you might never know what the true goal of an 8th house Mars person is, because I feel like what motivates them is just wrong. No one's going to receive it well. It's dark. And they can have really odd things that turn them on, that arouse them, which they'll never tell. And I think they can be the biggest daredevils here, even more than the 8th house sun, because the sun is energy we grow into, but Mars, like, we're always our Mars. So be good to your body's 8th house Mars, because getting that close to death all the time is not a good thing. Learn to value your time right here, right now on Earth, please. From my Cancer moon to all of you. If you want to know about those other planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, Uranus, all that, you can email me and set up a chart reading. I would love to dig into your 8th house. But yeah, you guys, I think the 8th house is so important to understand. Now, is it also associated with debt and shared resources? Yes. These are other ways to self-destruct, is getting in massive debt. feeling like you owe someone something. Eighth house people can be in power struggles all the time because if someone's nice to them, they might feel like they owe that person something, or they might have been in abusive psychological situations where they have been the victim of an unfair power dynamic. And I just want to give all you eighth housers a hug. I think that you guys just have it hard and you have really unique struggles, but this is why you're the strongest out of the bunch. And everyone who thought I'd open up more about me and my mom, I'm sorry. I'm just such a private person. I'm a Pisces, and I want to give a big hug to anyone who is going through what I'm going through, and I'm just not able to share that part of me. But just know that my heart and spirit is with you. Again, thank you for the dedication and love you've shown me. In the comments, let me know about your eighth house stuff if you feel comfortable, being open about it. I would love to read it. And again, I'm back filming and I'm so excited to make more videos for you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.